which is Chuck O'Neill, and he will be telling us about the initiatives for education outreach under cooperative extension and a web-based invasive species library called the New York State Invasive Species Clearinghouse. So with that, take it away, Paul. I'm sorry, Chuck.
Somebody.
Somebody. Hey, somebody out there, just fill in, okay? Sorry about that.
Okay, great. Okay. What I will be talking about is mostly the Cornell Cooperative Extension statewide outreach project. However, I want to touch on all three projects that are being part of the Cornell approach because they're really linked together very tightly. Recommendation 4 of the task force was to establish a comprehensive education and outreach effort. Recommendation 5 was integrating databases and information clearinghouses, and recommendation 8 was to establish a state center for invasive species research. All three of those are being developed as sole source contracts with Cornell University. I'll touch on the Invasive Species Institute first. I understand you will be having a presentation from the Institute in September, so I won't go into a lot of detail on it. Basically, what the mission of the Institute is to coordinate research on invasive species to meet the needs of New York, and ultimately we'd like to see this grow to be a Northeast Invasive Species Research Institute. It will be a virtual institute. It's not going to be building brand new buildings, bringing on lots of new faculty and that sort of thing. What it's already in the process of doing is establishing an advisory board to work with it. Some of their main first-year tasks are going to be identifying and cataloging research efforts that are currently going on and start looking at and prioritizing future research needs. They're in the process of going through their second round of interviews for a coordinator who will then be working with the various institutions around the state and the different investigators to find people interested in doing invasive species research, as well as looking for funding sources to actually bring that about. And then, of course, anything that they come up with on research priorities and those types of needs will be reported back to the new Invasive Species Council. Recommendation number 5 was looking at databases and information clearinghouses. The database for invasive species in New York, that project has gone to the Natural Heritage Program. The New York Invasive Species Clearinghouse contract, which is in the process of being signed, I'm told, even as we speak, came to New York Sea Grant. We'll be running it as part of the overall Cornell program, and we're building it on top of our National Aquatic Nuisance Species Clearinghouse. What we are aiming to do is provide all audiences, particularly PRISMs and state agencies, Cornell Cooperative Extension, other organizations like that, with good educational materials, scientific information, policy information, so that the decisions they go out to make are going to be informed with the best information that they can work with. And it's going to touch on all aspects of invasive species, from prevention through early detection. I hate using the term eradication, but I believe it was in the report, control and management of species in the state. We also want to be able to use the clearinghouse to draw attention to the invasive species issue in New York. We all know about it, but having the clearinghouse and having the web presence hopefully will be able to get the word out more to a much wider audience in the state. One of the main components is going to be the New York State Invasive Species Clearinghouse website. We do have a domain. It's not active yet, so don't try logging into it, but it will be newyorkinvasivespecies.org. Like I said, we're building it on top of the National ANS Clearinghouse infrastructure, and we'll be using the search engine and database structure that we use on that website. We will hopefully have it acting as a portal to other New York invasive species web resources, whether that's the database with a link to the database at Natural Heritage, with links to different state agencies' websites and web pages on invasives. Definitely is going to be a very strong PRISM participation in this, as well as the Research Institute, which will probably have its own website as well, but we want this to serve as a portal to get into all of the various activities that are happening in the state. We will also be doing on that website real-time news and announcements. There will be a news page. Hopefully we'll be able to have a function that we can have a news article of the week show up on the top page, a calendar, upcoming meetings, those sorts of things, notices of proposed legislation, what have you. The biggie is going to be the searchable online database. It's going to be principally in the very beginning, first year, we're going to try and catalog and get into the database educational materials on species of particular interest to New York State. We'll take the 5 categories that are mentioned in the task force report and try and develop 5 to 8 species from each of those areas in year 1. We want to be able to have brochures, flyers, you name it, with a direct link to a PDF or other type of printable, downloadable electronic version. The goal is to have them all on the site. Some of them we may not be able to have on the site, but we'll have hot links directly to original sources. The whole idea being PRISMs want to do an educational program on species X. They should eventually be able to get to the clearinghouse database, pull up 400 different educational materials that we've got approval to use, click on them, download them, print them, and use them at their own meetings. Ultimately, we will also have scientific publications and agency reports in there, but first year we're going to really focus on the educational materials to be able to provide as much backstopping to the PRISMs as we can. It'll be searchable through that website. It'll also be searchable through the national website. There will be a newsletter. It'll be a monthly newsletter. It'll have articles from PRISMs, from state agencies, from other organizations, member organizations from PRISMs. It's not going to be a quasi-journal like Aquatic Invaders, which we put out. It will be more of a newsletter. It'll be put on the website as a PDF, no subscription. People can just go to it, download it, and if we have information that is really timely and enough of it, we'll be doing it more than monthly. The idea is to turn around information as quickly as we can to the PRISMs and other audiences. So virtually anything that's coming into us from the PRISMs, from DEC, Ag and Markets, from the Council, from the Research Institute, will all be fair game for information going into that newsletter. Then the biggie. It's the recommendation number 4, the comprehensive education and outreach effort. The reason that Cornell Cooperative Extension put in to request a contract for this project is between the campus-based extension and our 56 county extension associations. We form the largest, most comprehensive research-based program, education program in New York State. We've got a footprint virtually in every county, as well as in the New York City metro area, and we're used to working particularly with research information. We've got the resources of the statutory colleges at Cornell, as well as Cornell's endowed colleges, and being part of the nationwide land-grant college system, we can draw from 50 different university programs across the country to support the education outreach. Also, being part of the Sea Grant College system for aquatics, we can draw through those areas. There's a lot of stuff going on already at Cornell in invasive species, both research, teaching, and outreach. It's hard to look around the campus on the statutory side and not find a department that's doing something. I'm just setting some of them up here that come to the top immediately. The entomology program is going to be very important for us when we start dealing with trying to protect against and then detect in an early fashion and respond to things like the emerald ash borer or Asian longhorn beetle as it moves out of the New York metro area. Sea Grant's been very involved. The IPM program has been very involved in invasive species. But as you start looking around the campus, even veterinarian science, they're going to be playing a role in pathogens in the area. I'll talk about the invasive species program work team in a moment. As of last year, we had 25 or more county associations which actually reported doing invasive species education. There's about another 20 that are doing work where they didn't use the term invasive species, but they're doing weed management or other related terminology. The Master Gardener Volunteer Program throughout the state is very interested in participating in this type of work, and then the college has things such as the vegetable team, which is doing boots on the ground surveillance for various insects and plant pathogens. We want to be able to provide all stakeholders, and one of the stakeholders that's going to be right at the top of all of our lists is going to be the 8 PRISMs, with the best research-based educational programming that we can. And we want to be able to provide the kind of information that you'll be able to use to do your jobs on preventing the introductions, on early detection, rapid response, on management programs. And we also want to be able to use this as a way of getting the general public more knowledgeable so that they can work as being part of the solution. Objectives are all pretty much boilerplate. One of the things that we are going to be having to push really hard, because the state money will never be able to support a real statewide program. So we are working not just with the 8 PRISMs, but we will be working with all of the county cooperative extension associations to build a statewide program where if your PRISM has, however many counties each of the PRISMs has, you will eventually have that many counties that will have extension educators in them who will also be able to work on invasive species education programs with you and with the general public. The first couple years, we're going to be teaching the teachers, but our goal at the end of 5 years is to have 56 counties, all of which can say they've got invasive species outreach programs and they're working with the PRISMs. Working with the PRISMs is going to be, in year 1 and year 2, one of our biggest pushes. We've been promising it to all of you for about 18 months now. Within the next couple months, hopefully, when we get the contract, you're going to start actually seeing us coming out, working with you much more closely. I know that all the PRISMs are going to be trying to get some very good programs out there that they can show to other potential cooperators, to their county governments, to regional programs. We want to be able to be there to help support that as quickly as we can, particularly in the early years as we're all trying to get, pick that low-hanging fruit. We are going to be doing a lot of work on trying to get the information out through as many different avenues as we can. Cornell Cooperative Extension 4-H youth programming is a good way of reaching an awful lot of families and let the kids pull the parents in. We've done it on invasive species work for aquatics. Kids eat this kind of stuff up. You show a kid a bug and they'll love you for life. The Master Gardener Volunteer Program, we've already started working with them. The interest is extremely high in the Master Gardener Volunteer Program from both the campus-based coordination and from most of the county organizations. At last year's Master Gardener Conference, we had, I think it was about 29 counties sat in on the invasive species presentations, and we had a hard time getting them out of the room at the end. They really want to get involved in this. The types of programs that we'll be working with are going to be dictated by several different areas. The PRISMs are going to be one of the groups that we are going to really have to rely on to find out what the educational needs out there in the hinterlands are and find out how we can respond to those. Of course, the Invasive Species Council, whatever they ask us to be doing in invasive species outreach is something that we'll put on the platter, as well as the Invasive Species Advisory Committee. We're going to try and have this as big a tent a program as we possibly can, which brings me to the Invasive Species Program Work Team. Cornell uses program work teams as advisory groups. They're not groups that are driven from the top down by Cornell, though. They're basically what we would call an affinity group where faculty, educators, any kind of a stakeholder pretty much self-define the group. They come together to start looking at how can we link the college, how can we link our faculty, how can we link our extension educators to the real-world issues with the stakeholders, to start identifying educational programs, identifying research, integrating all of that into programming. We have a program work team started up, hasn't met yet. We've been pretty much waiting until we saw how the contracts were going first. Each program work team has 2 co-chairs, an extension co-chair. In this case, I'm the extension co-chair, and a research co-chair, Dr. Ed Mills, who's the director of Cornell University's Biological Field Station on Oneida Lake. I think quite a few of you probably know Ed. And we have members from all walks of life, campus and off campus, a number of Cornell faculty based on the campus. We have a lot of county extension educators from around the county, both from executive director levels and from county agent levels. We have several other campuses in the state who've already come to us and said they would like to be part of this. Most of you are probably going to recognize 1 or 2 of the names on that list. We have some soil and water conservation district representation. We would like to have more. State agencies are participating. In fact, quite a few of the folks who are on the Invasive Species Advisory Committee are on the list. And we have a number of NGOs and various stakeholder groups who are participating with us as well. As you notice, Nature Conservancy tends to be right up there at the top. We're bringing in people from various industries, the forestry industry. We don't have a representative from yet. We're trying to find one, turf industry, general agriculture, groups like that. How does it all fit together? We've seen different schematics of how the state's invasive species program fits together, but most of them were looking at how does the Research Institute fit with the state agencies, or how does the Office of Coordination fit in? Where does the Advisory Committee fit in? I tried to put as much of it together in here as I could. You'll notice that the Outreach Education Program, the Research Institute, and the Clearinghouse tend to be clumped together with a lot of feedback arrows between them. The reason for that is we feel very strongly that since Cornell got those 3 contracts, the best thing we can do is try and integrate that as much as possible so that we have as seamless as possible a work on research, outreach, and then providing the way of getting that out to the public. The prisms are linked to all of this, and that's the exciting part, is that we will be working with all of you. I've already met with quite a few of you. I've talked to a lot of you who I haven't met in person, and we've been involved in at least 3 of the prisms, actually being on those prisms from months ago, or in the case of Western, basically since their first meeting. At this point, I think I'd kind of like to just shut up and let you folks start asking us questions. The one thing I can't answer is when this will all actually start. The contract is still working its way through the process, and I expect it's still going to be 2, 3, 4 months until we actually get that started. We're trying to find some money to get me out in your areas and doing some more of the work than I currently am. I've just been supported by a few leftover Sea Grant dollars, which are running out very quickly. So I can't tell you when we'll have these programs going. Our goal is first year we will have 3 extension educators out in the field in addition to myself who will be working with PRISMs and with county extension associations. I don't know exactly when they'll be on the ground. I can't tell you exactly where they'll be yet.
Thank you.